The following show is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose nor treat any medical condition. Any information or recommendations provided should always be discussed with your healthcare professional. I'm Physician Assistant Frank Smith. Welcome to the Patient Talks. It's Wellness Week, and this week we're going to be discussing you versus the roles you play. Today's episode is the 10th episode of my show, and it's obviously been a learning curve. I have fallen into a format that I really like, and I hope you like too. What I've noticed over my last several episodes is I was doing 2 episodes of This is a Diagnosis, and then I had 1 episode that was wellness stuff. Like I did 1 episode on Choose Your Car, talking about your future health, and I did another episode on grief, and there were 2 diagnosis episodes between each one. And I'm going to run with that going forward, and I'm going to call it Wellness Week. My math behind it is pretty straightforward. Medicine is more than just the diagnoses you have. All of the other things in your life apply to your wellness. So some of the things I'm going to be talking about during Wellness Week include mental health. Some of them will be some preventative medicine. Some of them will be just that overall wellness where I do talk about diet and exercise and all the other things. So this is the first officially named Wellness Week episode. Today's show is about you versus the roles you play. Some of the things that we learn in the practice of medicine don't come out of a book. Sometimes it comes from years of practicing medicine. And sometimes, frankly, we learn lessons in our real life that we are able to apply to our practice. Today's show about you versus the roles you play actually comes from my own personal experience, but it comes up very often in my office. I'll have patients come in frequently for whatever else, but I can detect just this overall stress and tension and just this vague unease in my patient. And when I start talking to them, we both come to the realization that their entire waking moments are assigned to different things. I'll use myself as an example. I'm a PA, I'm a dad, I'm a son. I have several roles that I play, and they take up a fair chunk of my time. And it's true for all of my patients too. Someone may be a wife, mom, employed, active in their community, parents need some help, all those different roles. And not one of those roles is who we actually are. The one that brought it home to me is, look, I'm the original extrovert. If you want proof of that, I'm doing a web show, so I am the original extrovert. But I also am something of a lone wolf and need time to myself, to the point that when I got married, my friends were stunned. The concept of I was going to have somebody with me all the time. Years later, my son was born. I'm a dad. This is the defining thing for me. I'm going to be a good dad. I'm going to be there all the time. I'm going to be a daddy. And I was in there swinging. I was already practicing medicine, so I was a PA, doing the husband thing, doing the dad thing, and was really having zero time to kind of do my own thing. And this rocked along for about 9 months where I had zero time to myself. And then there was a fluke one Friday that came along where the job I was working at was hourly instead of salary. And earlier in the week, I had put in some extra time, and I am really expensive when it talks about overtime. So Friday after lunch rolls around, and our office manager comes to me and goes, "You've got to get out of here. Be gone. Get out." So I left. And it was that late fall time of year where all of the honey-do list things are basically done. And I knew my wife had taken my son to just a well baby check. And so there was just this fluke that I actually had some time to myself. So I went to a local used bookstore and grabbed a science fiction book because I'm one of those. Went to a local coffee shop, walked out into the patio. Some guy is playing his acoustic guitar, and there's a little train going around the park. And I'm sitting there drinking my coffee and reading my book, just happy as a clam. And I went home a couple of hours later. Sunday rolls around and I'm sitting on the front porch playing with my son, bouncing him around and everything. And my wife is sitting next to me, and all of a sudden my wife says, does it make that big of a difference? And I said, does what make that big of a difference? She said, you've been more like you the last couple of days than you have in a couple of months. Does that little bit of time to yourself make that big of a difference? And I started to answer, well, sure, but the boy, and I need to do this, and and she interrupts me and she goes, stop. That little boy is not going to be deprived because he didn't see his dad for a couple of hours if the man he gets is who he's had for the past couple of days. I will throw you out of this house ever so often if I have to. And honestly, she's been good as gold about that since then. And it drove home a life lesson for me. We are not the roles we play. I'm Frank. I'm not Dad, although it's a huge part of who I think I am. But I'm not Dad. I'm not sweetheart, babe, or whatever else she calls me when I'm in trouble. I'm not son. I'm not PA. I'm Frank. Frank fills the role of being a PA. He fills the role of being a son, a husband, a dad. But if we don't let the person that you are get out and be you, that person starts to dim. And now those roles are just being filled by a vague sense of space. You end up going through the motions. And you don't really feel like you're filling those roles because you're not. It is important, it is vitally important to make time to actually be you. How much time? It varies from person to person, but what I've seen pretty consistently is, a couple of hours every couple of weeks tends to do the trick. Some people need a little more, some need it a little less often, but there is that definite need to be who you are, to follow the interests and drives that make you the unique individual that you are. Sometimes during this conversation, I'll be talking to patients and frankly, the tears will start to flow. And they'll say, I don't even know who that is anymore. Which speaks volumes, doesn't it? That means it is well past time to find out who you are, okay? Go and follow your interests. You're still parent, definitely still married. But go find the things that drive you and move you and help define the person that you are. And here's the kicker. When you go to do that time, you do it without feeling guilty. This is a medication, just as sure as anything else that I can write. It matters. Who you are defines the roles that you play. And job one, you've got to be you to fill those roles. So that's it for Wellness Wednesday. I hope I have really given you something to think about. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, please click the like and subscribe button down below. I'll be back next week. Until then, you better make me look good. See you soon.